Okay, I'm tense. I think by the sound of the title, I'm tense. This video should have been made a long time ago. It should have been made a very, very long time ago. But here we are talking about the one thing that guys are not supposed to talk about. And that is anxiety. And before you even click off this video and say, oh, here we go, another anxiety story, hear me out. Guys don't talk about anxiety. For a long time, I was one of those guys. I pretended that everything was okay, and I don't know. It's not. This video is, I guess you can say it describes what I define anxiety is, why I'm making this YouTube channel, and I guess you can call it a story of my life. It's to explain something that I've wanted to talk about openly for a very, very long time. Let me just hop right in and just say, if you're watching this video, it is going to be a serious video about what my experience with anxiety has been like, because I want to essentially talk about the one thing that guys on YouTube and around the world just don't talk about. We're trained to be strong and never talk about our feelings, but today I want to change that. I want to actually talk. So let's get right into it. For starters, I think the best way I can describe my personal anxiety is I see it like a volcano. If anyone has ever taken 4th grade science class, you understand a volcano for many years, for a long time, a volcano can remain dormant. Nothing can happen to it. It could just be a mountain that is just there. But under the right conditions, whether it's the right weather pattern, enough pressure builds up in the volcano, and then that leads to And I think that is the perfect way for me to describe my anxiety, because literally my anxiety remained dormant. Everyone is born with an anxiety, with a form of anxiety. It can push you to get things done, but when enough pressure is put on it, anxiety can cause you to explode. Let's go to the eruption, because the eruption, that is kind of what defines my anxiety and how I actually was thrown into me actually understanding and why this video is being made right now. So literally almost a year, so literally the beginning of this year in February, I had an eruption. I was in college, I was in a relationship, I was finishing my last semester of my senior year of college. So I was literally about to graduate college. And I ended up having a very, very traumatic breakup. And anyone out there watching this video, if you've actually been in a relationship that didn't end the best way, you become heartbroken, you become really sad. But for me, I became really, really, really anxious. And I think the reason because I went to a small school and everyone knew everyone, and when we broke up, it was kind of news that spread everywhere. And everyone was just talking. And I was extremely, extremely anxious. So much so that I didn't really know who I was outside of the relationship. I didn't really know who I was outside of this companionship, this union, this person who I was dating. I didn't really know who I was without that person. And when I lost that person, it was kind of my whole world ended. And I don't live too far from where I went to school. I came home and I couldn't really sleep. And one night, I just had all these thoughts going through my mind, racing. When you're having an anxiety attack, you don't really think, you don't really process your thoughts rationally. Every thought that comes through your mind is irrational, but you don't see them as irrational. You just see them as thoughts. And for me, my thoughts were I'll never see this person again. It's over forever. Everyone's gonna laugh at me. All these different irrational thoughts that I didn't think were irrational. I thought they were completely 100% rational. And I remember that I was sitting in my room, right where I am right now. And I wanted the thoughts to end. But I mention all this because guys don't talk about this stuff. Guys don't talk about this stuff. And I want to normalize it because it's okay to not be okay. And in that moment, I was not okay. I was really anxious. I was depressed. For context, in 5 days, I had lost 10 pounds. I wasn't eating. I didn't leave my room. I could not put food in my body. It was just, if I put food in my body, I would throw it back up because I was so anxious about being essentially going through this really, really, really traumatic breakup. And I was kind of oh my gosh, what do I do? And I remember my favorite musician You can ask anyone. My top three favorite musicians are J. Cole, Logic, and Kid Cudi. Those three are my best. And Logic made a rap album. He made a rap song, a single, called 1-800. If you know that song, like I'm glad we can relate. For those who don't know, the whole song is about raising awareness around the National Suicide Hotline. The name of the song is the phone number to the National Suicide Hotline. So I literally dialed the National Suicide Hotline, and they connect me with this girl named Janice. This girl named Janice is essentially this psychiatrist who volunteers her time. Mind you, it's 4:30 in the morning. Like, it's 4:30 in the morning, and like, you're not supposed to be up on, like, I'm not supposed to be up. I was the only one in my house awake. I didn't want to wake anyone else up, so I called the hotline. I called the hotline because I was having the biggest anxiety attack of my life. Like I said, last 5 days, hadn't eaten a thing, lost 10 pounds, could not sleep. I couldn't even sleep in my own room. I was trying to fall asleep on the couch outside. I was literally so anxious to even call the hotline, because I was like, guys don't call hotlines. Like, even black men, like, we're not suicidal. These are all these thoughts, again, irrational thoughts that are going through my mind. And the reason why I'm walking you through all of this is because what happened next, it doesn't make sense. What happened next is what led me to still be here talking to you right now. The next day, I decided to check myself into a hospital. I went into the ER. I think, they're gonna sit me down, talk to me for about maybe 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes max, maybe an hour maximum. Never mind. Maybe an hour max they're gonna talk to me. And they're gonna ask me a list of questions and maybe send me back to my therapist, who I was already seeing. Yes, I have a therapist, right? But no, they walked me down this different aisle of the ER. I'm like, where am I going? And I'm going into this special wing for mental health patients. I was actually wearing this hoodie too. It's actually so fun. I did not plan this, but I was wearing this hoodie, and I had my class ring, and they made me go to the bathroom, take off all my clothes, put on a different like hospital gown, take off my ring, take off my watch, take off my hat, put it in this like orange bag, and literally I was escorted to like this room. And then this room was essentially this like child-proof room. I'm 22 years old, and I don't need to be child-proofed, and I'm just kind of confused as to like, why am I in this room? And turns out that they do it for your own protection, because when you check yourself into a hospital for a mental health issue, there's a higher chance that you're at danger, at risk to yourself. I'm in this room where it's a hospital bed, and it has a chair with no sharp edges on it, and there's a door that has only handles from the outside. Like, I can't open it by myself from the inside out, and there's like plexiglass, and if you look closely, like, there's like fingernail scratchings on it. It was a scary place. And I wake up, I kind of snap out of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, Wes, like, you're in it. Like, you're in a place that you didn't think you're gonna be in. And I ended up waiting like 3 hours. My mom had come to see me at this point, and she was sitting in that child-proof chair with no edges. And then the doctor comes in, and he screens me. He basically performs a psychiatric evaluation. He asked me a list of questions, and I remember that I was just answering them normally, and I ended up passing. I wasn't at risk to myself, but he thought it was best for me to receive outside care. Receiving outside care means something entirely different than what I thought. I thought that meant just going back to my therapist, getting medication, and be on my way. No, he gave me 3 options. 1, you can go back to your therapist and receive medication, which I thought, okay, yeah, sure. 2, you could stay at the hospital and become what they call an inpatient, okay? And then 3, you can go to an outpatient program. And I'm like, what's an outpatient program? And what he described was an outpatient program is essentially group therapy, where you would go to this location, this off-site location, for about 2 to 3 weeks, where you would spend time in group therapy with other kids your age, talking about anxiety, depression, and having access to psychiatric care, and having access to social workers, and having access to all these different pieces of knowledge on how to really manage your anxiety. And then you can get to go home at the end of the day. And I was like, shoot, like, that sounds cool. I mean, if I go to a therapist, I'm just doing it alone. But if I go to a group therapy, I'm doing it with other kids. And I thought in that moment, like, I needed to be around people because I didn't want to be alone. If I was alone, I would be in the same position I was before I called Janice. So essentially, I choose the outpatient program. Literally go into the outpatient program that following Monday, and I go there, and it's just like the doctor said. It's like group therapy for 9 hours a day, and I called it anxiety school because it was much like going to school, but instead of learning like accounting and business and finance and economics and history, you're learning, self-care things, coping mechanisms, how to sleep better, how to plan your weekend, journal prompts you can use, things you can actually use to like manage your anxiety better. And I remember sitting there in that moment and I'm like, yo, like I'm receiving top tier knowledge. Why is it that I have to be at the lowest point of my life to get access to this knowledge? And like this light bulb went off in my mind. And I'm like, yo, I gotta write a book about this stuff. And I did. I wrote a book about this stuff. And I wrote a book about how to better manage your anxiety. And I was sick and tired of reading all these freaking self-help books about, from the Gary V's and the Tim Ferrisses and the Tony Robbins of the world who I say like, put your mind to it and do it and you can achieve it. I wanted to read a book by someone who's actually anxious, who actually been through it. I didn't find anything, so I made it myself. The reason why I mention all that is because men don't talk about this. And I'm writing a book about it because I was sick and tired of being quiet and pretending that everything was okay. I know I have the book, but I want to actually live what I learned when I was in anxiety school. I want to actually take what I learned in anxiety school and apply it to my life, which I already have, but I want to record it and I want to actually make the steps to achieving the one goal I have for 2021. And the one goal I have is to master my anxiety. And it's crazy because in 2020, for New Year's, I had wrote down on a piece of paper that I want to learn how to manage my anxiety. But now I want to learn how to master it. And in order to achieve that goal, I have to be dedicated to it. And that's why I'm calling this whole month #dedicated December. Because literally, many people think that when you are setting these big lofty goals, they start on January 1st. They start now. And I think it starts right now in terms of me documenting and sharing all the ups and downs I have with that goal of learning how to master my anxiety with you. Because you're going through it too. And I feel like, especially after this year, all of us have had our anxiety reach high levels. But I want to get to a point where I get to understand and actually figure out what triggers it. Why is it triggering? How can I learn how to actually manage my anxiety? So every Wednesday, there'll be a new video of me talking about the journey, whether it's a vlog, whether it's me just doing a Q&A, or whether it's me just talking to the camera like this. So I invite you to come with me because guys are not supposed to talk about this. They're not. But I want to redefine that. And more importantly, I would love for you to come with me. I'll see you soon. Tune in next Wednesday for a new video. Peace.